Sound like a mom, like just giving them shit in the corner, kind of thing. Oh my gosh. Oh, TikTok got mad at me the other night for like using too many expletives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck?
Why are they getting so
I know they're
scared?
very square. They're very square. I guess they're like, oh, TikTok's for kids. I guess.
Really? No kid should be on any social media whatsoever.
That's true.
That's just like
that's a
barring anything.
topic. That's a
Like,
topic for another time.
people are sick.
Okay, guys. Hello, welcome. Welcome to the live. I'm April O'Neill. I do not have a comic book read tonight. This is actually going to be, I guess, my semi-astrology, tarot, energy reading live. I'm going to explain the, I guess, metaphor or allegory between news anchors who are storytellers of reality, or the way we want to call it, and then like interweave that with the cosmic weather and timing of all things, because it is Easter Monday here in Toronto. So we actually still have, like, I wasn't able to go to the library because they were closed. So I wasn't able to get the comic book I wanted for April O'Neill, which is a crossover between, I find that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they cross over with Batman's universe a lot. Wolfie, stop it, please. Okay, having to give my doggy shit. They're like little kids sometimes. But what I wanted to do today was actually more of an astrology, I guess, reading. I used to do a lot more content live when I first discovered astrology that had to do with, oh, one act left to finish, I guess. Thank you for the rose. So welcome. So I wanted, back in the day, when I was first creating content, I'm still so uncomfortable with that term, content creator, but I'll call it storyteller in this medium that we have right now. In this case, when I was first starting to make Chauncey, oh, wonderful name. I like that. It's like old school. It reminds me of fantasy novels, that kind of thing. Okay, but April O'Neill, she's a big reason why I even moved to Toronto in the first place. Because when I was growing up, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a big deal to me in two forms. One being the animated TVB, the animated TV show. Hi, Pokey, welcome. We're gonna do. I'm gonna introduce you guys to my pendulum as well. Her name is Ostara, and since it's Easter Monday, I figured we could do some like pendulum magic, and we'll talk a little bit about energy and frequency, my perspective on it, your perspective on it. I'm interested to hear. Jimmy, thank you for that, and thank you for means High Heaven Church official. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of you know that Rachel means Lamb of God. I have a story behind my name as well. I meant taco. I haven't had Taco Bell in a long time. I will say this though. I grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba, right? And so me and my girlfriends, we used to dream about coming out to Toronto and like auditioning for Electric Circus, or like, because I loved YTV, all those shows. And so some of the shows that were on that very station, it's crazy because Toronto's kind of like a hub for a lot of these things being created. I can't daydream about everything. I have some constraints. I mean, let's see here. What is up? Oh, yes. So we're going to do some energy readings, I hope, today. We're going to do some testing of it. I did also want to talk a little bit about April O'Neill and how I've mapped the fixed stars to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What does that matter, right? So I'm a Taurus. We're in April right now, right? So April O'Neill, April. I think April translates to open. It means to open, and not to be all like overly bow chicka wow wow about it. It is like if you've ever watched the movie Bambi, you know, like Twitter pating, you know, like and I was like, oh, it's that season of like, ooh, it's we're coming out of hibernation. Nature's coming out of hibernation, and you're like, okay, time to find a mate, I suppose. So growing up in Winnipeg, me and my girlfriends, we had a lot of guy friends, but we were like, these guys are lame. We want the guys that were fed to us in terms of like music videos and like songs and stories and comic books, right? So a lot of like imaginary boyfriend daydreaming, that kind of stuff. So I feel like kids today, I don't know if there is the space allowed to just have boredom to like daydream, because there's always this like constant fight for people's attention. Like you need to be sold this and marketed that and all of these everything vying for everything. So you don't have the space to just kind of be like, oh, I'm going to fill it with my own imagination, right? So myself and my friends growing up in the prairies, we daydreamed about, you know, being out in the big city together and like being in a girl group. You know, I really love Josie and the Pussycat Dolls. I love girl bands. I love the Spice Girls. Girl power, that kind of thing was like all of my, and I really loved redheads. So I don't know what it was, but I've been dyeing my hair since I was about 16 years old, right? So since I like discovered the magic of being able to dye my hair, I went out and I dyed my hair fire engine red. Well, not just red, I had like the streaks, you know, like the and then I was going to an all-girls Catholic school at the time, and I got into trouble because they're like, your hair is not from nature. I'm like, what do you mean not from nature? It's my hair. So I had to like dye it back. And then, sleeping. Also too, I wanted to do a little side note that April is Autism Acceptance Month. I wanted to expand the definition of that as well. It's been common to note that when we think about, I guess, anything that is, let's say, crazy or normal or something good or bad, it's all really from a matter of perspective of where you are standing, right? So I do still find that in our society as a whole, mental health still comes with it a very large stigma. It's like okay to like laugh at people who are obviously going through something and they're medicating in some sort of way. Whether or not you approve of it is one thing or the other, but it's like we don't necessarily think of it as being like, whoa, you need an intervention or like help, but not for you to like be like thrown into an insane asylum or somewhere over here where like we don't have to deal with you. But also too, you shouldn't be in a position to be able to hurt yourself, others, that kind of thing. So the balance of all that and having a bit more compassion and empathy with all of that, I think is well warranted in our world. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. So I definitely no. That's what I mean. Mari Landry, hello. Boredom can be a good or bad thing depending on how you harness it. I thought I heard you. Great comment. Yes. Just like with a lot of things, like if you think about magic, it's like agnostic. How you wield a sword, how you wield something of great power. Like if you were to come into like a, you know, F1 race car, right? Formula One. Ayrton Senna, he's like the classic Aries, and we're in Aries season right now. But there's something to be said that whatever sign you're in, the sign that precedes you and the sign that comes after is going to have echoes into your personality as well. It's kind of like a fun way of looking at your own character type. I hope you guys are all well, by the way, and I hope you had a great Easter if you celebrate. I do want to do some stuff with my pendulum tonight, so if you guys want to ask some yes/no questions and drop a galaxy, we can try it. No promises, though. I don't have any. It'll just be to like to go towards reading energy. So we're going to talk a little bit about energy readings as well. How you guys feel about energies and frequencies, because the last few readings I've been doing in the DC universe, like Final Crisis, the way to solve the anti-life equation, which essentially is a frequency. If we think about music, encoded in music is basically math, right? Encoded in drawing is math. Like my dad actually used to do, he was a professor in comp sci, but he also used to do research, right? Because if you're a professor in anything, you have to do like research for like, I don't know. I have a whole story about how like I didn't understand that he was a doctor. But he used to do some work where you would figure out the algorithms and mathematical equations behind how you would have prosthetics. So how you would match a wrist or the beautiful human design of a body, right? So this is like this idea of, and I thought I heard you. Thank you for the rose. It's like our us as human beings or humanity or in this anamorphic form, we're always going to want to personify things, right? So if we think about the sun or the moon, we typically think of the sun as being masculine, the moon as being feminine, and then like we have a like Apollo as being like this visualization of like a guy who represents the sun, and that's with like the moon. But you also have the concept of we can't really like, for us to interact in a certain way, we need to be in this form, right? This, I have like eyes and a mouth and like I have these different senses that are all part of being a human being. And it's far too complex to fit into like a small little like definition or an atom or a scientific explanation. It's the magic of why you're alive, right? It's the whole idea of you're the universe discovering itself, and just, you know, realizing or like learning, getting the degree in something doesn't necessarily mean that you know the material and will know when to enact it when the time comes, right? So like when I was I used to bartend for a big period of my life, right? Earl's in Winnipeg, well, which one was it? Earl's St. Vital. I remember going, I was like 20 years old, and I went into one of the locations because they were hiring bartenders. I had no experience in bartending. I completely bluffed my way into it. I'm like, I can learn, no problem. I can totally be a bartender. And lucky for me, though, I had some great mentors, some great strong girls who know how to bartend, teach me how to bartend and all the little tricks behind it. Things like knowing how to change the kegs in the back, hold more than one glass with one hand, even though I have like tiny hands, right? Like set up all your glasses, put all like the ice in all of them. So all of this practical stuff, like typically in academia, you look down on like service people like that are like, wow, you're just a bartender, or you just it. I found it difficult. Like Little Miss, like straight A student, I had struggled at first trying to bartend, right? I got good at it after practicing with it, but finding your own groove and serving, as well as having like people yelling at you all the time. And then you're like having to also serve the well, as well as like the chits that are coming up. Is have nightmares of those chits. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't even deal. So that's just, I'm saying like that's just one skill. Like also in bartending, there's things like mixology and just knowing all the drinks by heart, like memorizing all of that. And then back in the day, we didn't have those POS systems. We had to do like change in your head, right? Someone had to give you a 20 and you had to give change for 425. I'm like, dear gosh, no. So luckily enough, you made a lot of tips. So like, practical application of learned skills. And yes, hello, Marat. So why am I talking about this, right? Because there is something to be said of, I learned in my own gene keys, I have a certain gene key where it was like, oh, you have to learn your own arrogance in order to become a leader, right? So I was like, learn my own arrogance. I'm like, I'm not arrogant. Am I? And that's the thing that happens sometimes. I feel like if you're one of those kids who ends up being, let's say, in gifted, or you're like the smart kid in the class, or this kind of thing, is that we oftentimes think that we know everything, but there's one thing to know something in your head and another thing to do it, right? Like learning dances, it's one thing to like see the dance. Me and my friends used to like watch music videos on Much Music and like learn the dance routines, right? And like slow it down and like do it ourselves. So like learning that is one thing of like having it in your head, and then having it translate into your body is another thing. Ooh, I have a flash goal. So what did I want to talk to you guys today? I went on a total tangent. I don't have a comic book read today. However, we are going to do a reading of Astro-ish, but more of energy, I'll say tonight. We have just passed Easter, but Easter is actually, in terms of the calendar, it's really timed with the lunar cycle, right? And the moon, whether or not you believe it's like real or not, or whether or not we landed on the moon, or whether or not any of that is real, point is, let's look at it as like navigational system tools, right? Like we're on the mothership of Earth, and we can use the luminaries and stars as a way for us to be like, here is where I am in time space. And so I can adjust my behavior accordingly to optimize my soul mission here, whatever it is I'm doing, right? Now, because, let's say, bad guys or evil wouldn't necessarily want good guys to prevail. I know, crazy, right? I find that's the biggest thing. When I read any like stories like Fall from Atlantis or Fall from a Golden Age, typically it's because we allow for certain bad behaviors to run amok. Because, like, for example, I've had to fire someone before when I used to be a manager back in the day. And that was like the hardest thing in my life to do. Another thing is that, like, for example, breaking up with someone that you know you should break up with, instead of cheating on them and then like having the whole situation maybe be like, you know, you can end the relationship amicably or more amicably if you can maybe choose to have certain hard conversations. But those conversations are difficult, right? So we don't have them. We avoid them. And then we have to deal with the consequences of not doing them, right? Hey, Spider Carnage, welcome, and thank you for following, you guys. So we're going to do some energy readings. I'm April O'Neil, you guys, tonight. I'm not doing a comic book read. Haven't been able to go to the library. It's been the holidays here, right? The Easter weekend. I grew up really Catholic, so of course, like I recognize Easter, but also the concept of rebirth, the Ostara, which is the goddess whom I named my pendulum after. So we can maybe take some yes/no questions for Ostara later. But I did want to talk to you guys about how I've mapped the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to the fixed stars, and talk a little bit about modalities, which I call the alchemy of astrology, more about yourself. So think of you, right? When you like push through your mama's womb, or in my case, like, you know, C-sectioned out, and you like came out into the world, you took your big breath into this existence. The sky, the stars, the blueprint of reality was mapped to a very unique way. So based on your location and exact time of birth, the moon, the earth, the sun, the Mercury, Mars, Uranus, everything was mapped very unique to you. So whether or not you share your birthday with other people, it will not be the same, even if you're twins, right? Because one of you had to come out first. You didn't come out at the exact same moment. And in that moment, things change, right? The universe is a language of change. And it's up to us to learn how to ride that wave instead of like resisting it so much and holding on to maybe things that we've outgrown, all that kind of, I mean, like, trust me, I'm the queen of like nostalgia. So I love holding on to old stuff, but it does come a time where you can evolve it, move forward. Oh, thank you. I love April O'Neil. She was like legit one of my first girl crushes. She also represents like a whole trope of what I call badass female reporters, right? So April O'Neil, Lois Lane, Even Danvers, her like alter ego in some cases is like, a reporter. Now, when we think of news anchors, the way I translate that is to you are anchoring a certain perspective of reality, right? And that reality is going to be the consensus one. Now, to those of you out there who deal in realities outside of the consensus one, this can be a balancing act, right? So you may have a very active dream world. You may have certain creative projects like paintings or comic books or short stories or these worlds that you build with your friends like D&D and stuff, where you can have that expressed in these other realities, but that is not consensus material plane stuff, right? Now, the issue, I mean, like when I came to Toronto, I first took broadcast journalism, right? Because I wanted to be a news anchor. And I got so disillusioned, you guys. And you know why? It's because I saw too many commonalities between show business, because I used to do like drama and theater, and the news. Like so much of it was just like reading the teleprompter and the lights, and like one of my profs was like, "Oh, all that like the press is like all the relationships you have with like the PR people, right?" So it was just kind of like I thought that we were just like telling stories, right, and letting people. Do I have a favorite version of April? You know what? That's a perfect way to derail me, because I'll derail me back to what I'm supposed to be talking about. My favorite version of April is actually the animated version in the jumpsuit. Because I used to love just animated shows, right? Live action, I was kind of like, it was too flawed for my imagination. I just wanted like something nice and raw and like imaginative and drawn and illustrated that I could work with in my stories, right? And April, to me, she also represents this idea that even though you're anchoring in the truth and you're like there to tell the story, you also know when to keep secrets, right? You know when, like, not to tell everybody that you know where the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are hiding in the sewers, right? You know when to just shut the F up, right? When to lock secrets in the safe. And also, like, know when to maybe tell those secrets if those friends are in trouble, right? So, April O'Neil, also in the comic books, one of the stories I read was there's a lot of crossover between Batman's universe, because if you think about it, Gotham City and New York City are very like mirrors of each other. So there's oftentimes stories, hey, Nosy Mage, we're going to do some pendulum stuff. So maybe it'll react to you. And we'll maybe do some tarot. We shall see. But first of all, I'm talking about the alchemy of astrology, the modalities of astrology, because when I was first making content as April, and I was telling you guys, like, she knows when to speak, when not to speak, right? So I do find that also a lot of superheroes, it makes sense, like Peter Parker even, to work for the news, because you can kind of control the narrative a bit, right? You can get ahead of the story. Like, it could be very easy that you could look at the vigilantes as being like bad guys, right? Depends on how you tell the story as to who the hero is. Where are the turtles? They're hiding right now. They're sleeping. And who's your favorite Ninja Turtle, you guys? That'll be a good way to talk about this as well. Mitch. This is April O'Neil, Channel 6 News. We're reporting on reality, baby. And you know what? I really actually liked Megan Fox as April O'Neil. She was like a hot April O'Neil. So, hot take. I don't know. I like her. She's also a Taurus. Her moon is in Leo, though. My moon is in Gemini. So, hey. But Taurus women, love you girls. Raphael, yeah. No, Raphael's pretty sweet. I actually like Raphael in the other version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles I used to read was at the grocery store. You know how they'd have like the Archie comics? They'd also have like Ninja Turtle comics. And those versions of the Ninja Turtles, they dealt a lot more with like Dimension X, where Krang is and stuff, and going between those worlds. And Raphael actually has a fox girlfriend. She's like a fox ninja animorph character, which makes sense because Raphael's like that brooding, bad boy, loner type who like comes through for his friends if he needs them, but he's like, I work alone, but like I'm kind of mushy on the inside. But he does have a little foxy girlfriend in some versions. But I do have a lot of instances where the Turtles will meet Batman and friends, and Batgirl and April O'Neil actually have a lot in common beyond being redheads, but like their archetypes are quite similar in the sense of being your like ride or die, super smart best girlfriend who will open the portal from the other side even though you let it close, right? So that's what happened with the Turtles when they ended up in Gotham City because of a portal. They were like slowly, I think, like disintegrating because of, I guess, time travel rules. It's different in every story, but they were disintegrating or something in their DNA was happening. So they needed to get back to their home world. And how did they get back? April and Casey come through from the other side by opening the portal because she's that smart and she knows who to ask for help to do all that kind of stuff. So I'm feeling great, Gwen Stacy. Thank you for asking. Did I read Battle Nexus? Oh my goodness, you guys are giving me new stuff to read. I wanted to bring back a comic book and do a little conversation between Batgirl and April O'Neil because, as I said, it's like operating in the shadows, right? But you also have this alter ego that's all about exposing the truth. And so it's knowing about when to speak, when to reveal stories, timing of things, and protecting your friends' secrets as well, right? And knowing when is right to pull the trigger on when it comes to stuff, right? Oh, that's cool. I love that. I also just like the whole idea of like ninjas and stuff. Ninjas were like, so full disclosure, when I first was writing my story, The Dragon Warriors, we have counterparts, which I've reframed to be dragon knights, right? So cosmic dragon knights. So in Escape from District 6, it's the the dream dragon dancers, and then the knights of frequency and sound. And it's not to say girls can't be knights and boys can't be warriors. It's just that if we have feminine and masculine energies, they're just the counter to each other, like electricity. Like you can't have two plugs if you're trying to do anything, right? So it's just a fact of reality, right? Where was I going with this? Oh, yes, the Ninja Turtles. So when I was first doing content, and I was first doing cosplay, April O'Neil, I love Halloween, first of all. Cosplay as an art form is relatively new to me, but April has always been one of my OG character types that I look up to. Just because she's like badass, she meets the turtles and she's not afraid of them and thinks that they're monsters, right? She befriends them, right? Where if it's like E.T. or like a lot of those stories back in the 80s where you have kids or people who are pure of heart meet an alien or like some elemental or a monster or whatever, and then the monster is actually like good, but because they look monstrous, people think that they're evil, right? But it's more to it than that. And the friendship and all of that, where like, that exists, the love that exists between life that cannot be explained in these stories, we can talk about that, right? And I think it also speaks to the better part of our human nature, right? We always like talk about like, oh, we're so like greedy and we like do this and look at all the war that we do. But like, you know what though? In a lot of my experiences, even though I've gone through a lot of trauma, there's also really great people in the world. And, people in general, I do think are like good at heart. Like that's the cheesy thing. Like when I play D&D, I'm the leader of my party, Mayari, and what did one of the guys say? He's like, "Oh, you're like my moral compass, Mayari." I'm like, a moral compass. I just go by like my heart, right? And I'm cheesy, and I'm like lame like that. But I've like come all the way around to be like, you know what? I wouldn't be any other way than that. So, and I have a lot of these lives to thank for that. I have my husband to thank for that. I have my little sister to thank for that. And I hope you guys also lean on your own co-stars in your beautiful movie of life when it comes to being that main character energy and doing what you have to do. And like, don't forget. Like, don't forget. So, the Ninja Turtles. What sign are you guys, if you feel comfortable sharing in the chat? All the signs in the zodiac are either cardinal, fixed, or mutable. Okay, so for me, when I look at the, wait, I think I have the chart here. Oh, I have a visual aid. Fantastic. Yay. Oh, thank you, thank you. So, to me, I'm a little bit of a theater nerd, love Shakespeare, all that kind of stuff. So, to me, all the world's a stage and we are but players in it, right? I look at the signs hold on, let me line this up properly. If, like, we're in Aries season right now, which is like the beginning of the astrological year, and then you go from like Aries, Taurus. So this is like front stage, right? Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I just look at the front stage and then backstage. So from Aries to Libra, Libra splits the chart in half. You basically have the signs that deal with being more front stage versus the signs that are backstage. Now, let me go back a bit because I want to talk about the fixed signs a bit. If you're going around the chart, starting with Aries, that is a cardinal sign. It initiates. So to all of my Aries out there, holla. My little sister's in Aries, so you know, and happy birthday as well. It's your season. Even though we're in April, we're in the tail end of it. So next we have Taurus, which is fixed. Then Gemini, which is mutable. Then we come back to cardinal again, right? So Cancer, and then oh my gosh, Leo, which is fixed. And then, oh my gosh, yeah, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, right, mutable. And then Libra, cardinal, and then Scorpio, which is fixed, Sagittarius, which is mutable. Then Capricorn, which is cardinal, Aquarius, which is fixed, and then Pisces, which is mutable. So if you go around the chart, it kind of goes like that. Cardinal, fixed, mutable. Cardinal, fixed, mutable. And then each modality, so each cardinal has a representative in every element. So you have, where are you? I keep moving this around. I keep moving the world around. Okay. Aries is fire cardinal, and then you have Cancer, water cardinal, Libra, air cardinal, and then, where are you? Capricorn, earth cardinal, right? So if you go around each of them, you each have a representative per sign. Now, when I talk about the Ninja Turtles, I'm looking at the fixed signs, okay? Now, why would I talk about the fixed signs? There's a lot of mythology around the fixed stars, right? In Persian mythology, I think they call them like the four guardians of heaven. And if we think about the firmament, right, the concept of the seas below, but also the seas above, whether or not your conceptualization of space is what NASA tells you it is or not, it's more just about like this idea of heaven and earth, right? And just our perspective on it. Now, the fixed stars, hey, Dandy Money Man, happy birthday. It's our birthday month, solar return month, right? So a lot of rebirth energy, I feel like, in the cosmos today. I'm just talking about April O'Neil. I am April O'Neil. We're talking about the fixed stars and as how they line up to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So the fixed stars are supposed to be the all the other planets and all the other stuff in the sky tends to change and move. These stars, let me see if I remember them. Let's start with Leo because I remember this. Leo matches up to Regulus, right? The fixed star of Regulus. And for me in the Ninja Turtles, that's Leonardo, right? The leader, also, he would be fire, but also fixed. So fixed fire. So this idea of stabilizing fire in a sign is also Leo tends to be rule the house that deals with activities, with what we do in the world. So if this is like the world stage, it's like your main performing actor, that kind of thing. Yes. Hi, AK. And then so opposing Leo is Scorpio. That's Raphael. And typically, in the Ninja Turtles, Raphael will come to not blows, but there will sometimes be conflict between Raphael and Leonardo. And it's not because I don't think Raphael wants to be leader, right? It's just more that Raphael doesn't want people to tell him what to do. And I'm sure many of you guys who vibe with Raphael can also vibe with like a discomfort around authority, right? And I think that you could also find a lot about yourself with those that you like vibe with, right? Now, important to note, when you have oppositions in astro, it's typically in the same modality, right? And that's why sometimes there can be a conflict, right? So in your own chart, you may have two planets that are in opposition to each other. And if that is the case, it is because both of those signs are in the same modality, right? Now, when I think about oppositions, I like to think of it as it's a way of you being able to alchemize different aspects of yourself, right? So if you have like one part of you, like for me, example, I really love performing on stage. I love the whole aspect of theater and dancing and like all of it, right? What I don't like is like when I used to do dance class is like I get like stage fright sometimes, right? You get like scared to be on stage. Also, I used to like just being the character that like died first because I wouldn't have to learn all the lines for the and then I could just watch the play from like somewhere else. Before I went to eat. What? Oh no, I was going off on a tangent, Pokey. I was already just talking about the fixed stars of astrology and how they line up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So Raphael Scorpio, right? And kind of makes sense with like how Scorpio is water. But also if we think about water signs, the other water signs being Cancer and Pisces, is that water as an element is one of the few that actually can change into all states. So it can be a solid, liquid, or gas, right? It can be evaporated. Like if you think about how clouds are formed and then all that kind of stuff, water does that. Air cannot, I mean, I guess you have dry ice. Is that like liquid nitrogen kind of thing? I guess it's possible. But the point is, changing of state, if we think about that and what elements are capable of it, like for example, fire cannot necessarily exist without like wood to burn or like something to burn, right? If fire can't just exist like on its own, like if you've ever gone camping, like to start a fire, that kind of thing. And also there's a symbolic aspect of fire, right? Prometheus stole fire from the gods, gave it to humanity. It's a technology, also like the fire within, that kind of stuff. So when we think about the elements, we're also talking about it on like a more symbolic sense as well, even when you're meaning astrology. So your own elemental makeup, right? So those of you who have a lot of water, like for me personally, I have very little water in my chart besides Scorpio. My only placements that have water is Scorpio. So, that all opposes Taurus, right? So like in myself, I do have parts of me that fight with each other because Taurus is all about being practical and in the front and being honest and open, and Scorpio does do things underneath the surface. And it's also to be said about like April O'Neil or those who like realize like, oh, it is not safe. It is not proper actually to speak about all of these things out front, right? Same thing when things like we talk about things like gossip, these other ways of telling stories that are not really. I had a girlfriend of mine who the way she used to tell it was like, I have a story about a friend, but it's not mine to tell. I'll let her tell it to you if she feels comfortable, right? And I don't think where stories are currency, data is currency, right? All that kind of stuff is that you don't need to give everyone your story, right? Not everyone deserves it. But at the same time, we also have to be aware that other people have their own version of stories and maybe make time to like listen to other people's as well. Christina, hello. Hey, cuz, how's it going? In my house, yes, candles are a great thing to light up, Gwen Stacy. Yeah. And I think even though your main sign, let's say your sun sign, is in a particular element, you may have other planets, like your elemental breakdown. If you have like a character sheet of your astrology, right? Like you know your attributes. You'll find that maybe your elemental attributes you may have a lot in fire, even though you're like an earth sign. So my elemental breakdown, I have a lot of earth and fire, but not a lot of water. So I find that my relationships, I have a lot of like Pisces friends, and I have a lot of like Cancer friends, like Cancer and Taurus vibe a lot because like we're both like homey, love security, that kind of stuff. So, June baby, oh, I love that. Love that, you guys. So the biggest part of all of this is that there is beauty in whatever character you are, but just learning to love the character that you came here as, because there is, I think, an element of like your soul choosing to come here to learn from this particular incarnation of you, right? There's never going to be anyone like you after you, nor is there going to be anyone like you before you, right? You are you, and whatever that means in the greater scheme of things is totally up to you. I can just get a little bit kind of confused out there sometimes. So let's talk about energy. So I wanted to introduce you guys to Ostara. This is my pendulum. You can see there's some copper on the bottom to ground and energy. So pendulums, it's just a way of feeling through energies. Now, whether or not you subscribe to things like Reiki or energy healing or tuning forks, I think we can all safely say that we all can emit an aura. Like the energy you emit when you're like grumpy versus being like really happy and joyful is just different. And you don't have to say anything for someone else to feel what that is, right? Likewise, if you're dealing with other people's energies, like if you're in a big city like what I'm in, and you're trying to take the TTC, and you have to deal with everybody being frustrated with it's like being late and like all that kind of stuff. So you're dealing with like all of those frequencies bombarding on you, and we don't necessarily, I think, have good practices of like removing all the stuff that isn't ours, right? Like, oh, because I'm picking up on all this stuff, maybe a lot of it just like really has nothing to do with me, but because like I'm receptive, because I'm sensitive, I'm just become hyper aware of it all, right? If of course, that's the thing though too. I think that when it comes to like psychic powers and stuff, right? I do think there's a level of ethics that goes into it, right? So I took psychology when I was going to university, psychology and English. My degree was a double honors in psychology and English. No idea what I wanted to do. Okay, I could only read part of your message. Let me see if I could. Oh, no, okay, I got you. I got you, thank you. But thank goodness I haven't been restricted like I did with the other night. Some psychic people don't respect people. You know what, Gwen Stacy, you're totally right. Like if someone comes up to you and like grabs your hand and like starts to terrify you, being like, oh, your dead aunt said this message about you, or like, I don't know, like there's bunches of random things, like the messages and how they all parse through. I was able to, Pokey, thanks for that. Okay, so, oh yes, and I think that I like looking at it as like a bit of a puzzle, right? Because learning about psychology, right? Like there are a few different pathways you can take when learning psych, right? So one of them is like child psychology. You can do behavior modification. You can do psychotherapy. You can do, oh my gosh, I did a whole course on like behavioral endocrinology, which has to do all about with hormones and how they affect your mood and personality and things like that. Really, really hard course. I did not do well. But I did do a thesis, you guys, in social psychology. So my professor, oh my gosh, I forgot her name, Dr. Merriam, it was published because when you do an honors degree, you have to publish a study. So I did a study on inter versus intra racial relationships. The reason for this is because I come from an interracial relationship, and I kind of struggled with it because like when your parents don't really speak the same language at home, it's hard to like figure out how the world works, right? So I was trying to like just ask questions about the differences between you two, like why would someone want to date outside of their own race or culture, that kind of thing. So the findings were kind of cool. Like I studied like I went to all like my university one students when I was in final year, and my little sister, she's like, I remember you coming in, my friends remember you going into class asking people to join your study. But what I did like a couple metrics, and I found that people who date outside of their race, it's typically because they are craving a type of novelty, and it's a certain type of personality that would do it, right? They are also less likely to have children, I found. And then on the other side, people who are dating within their race is just more traditional values, probably like closer to their family, reasons, like that kind of stuff. And it's not to come to any kind of conclusion as to like, oh, because you're this is that, and because of, it's just to kind of like, oh, like that would just be a dynamic that is something you would deal with in this relationship versus this relationship, right? Like if you come from a household where it's like one religion, you don't have to worry about like my girlfriend, she's Jewish, right? And I was trying to set her up with like a guy, and she's like, he's German though, Rachel. And I'm like, oh shoot, sorry. She's like, oh well, it's okay. Like the German and the Jew, it'll be fine. I'm like, but these types of things, as you said, it's more normalized, but there is still ancestry to it. These things did happen, right? People were ostracized for who they loved, right? That did happen. I have lots of friends in different communities that have like, because when I was studying psychology, I volunteered at places like Clinic with a K. I worked for Kids Help Phone, like volunteered for a lot of like hotlines and stuff because I wanted to help in some sort of way, right? But what I did find was like at the end of the day, a lot of us just need the connection of human beings for us to like feel heard, to have real friends. I think that oftentimes many of us have like an anchor event in our life where we fall, right? We become disillusioned, where we once believed something like Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny, and we go from being like, oh, I thought that that was real, and now I don't, right? So what I've realized going back to like me and my girlfriends, we used to do things like one of my girlfriends, Jennifer, even though we went to Catholic school, her mom was Wiccan. So this was back when like The Craft came out. It sounds like craft dinner when I say it like this, but The Craft, the movie about like all that. So we used to go out to the park and like sit in a circle and like invoke the elements and try to see if we could like float and stuff, that kind of stuff. So but playing with your friends, right? Going into your imagination worlds together, really believing that these things are real, right? That you're never too old for that, Pokey, right? So it's being able to go back into that part of your psyche, even though you're an adult and you know better, is a fun little imagination practice, I feel like, for us to do on a regular basis. So with that, I'm going to do some pendulum stuff. I should have prepped some questions ahead of time. Some fun facts about pendulums. It's really about reading energy, right? So, also a part of it is like interpretation, right? So typically with pendulums, if it goes in a clockwise circle, like you are right now, meaning yes. Hello, Astara. Oh, good. You're feeling good. So forward back is like a nod. Yes, yes, right? And then if you don't want to be here, it's a no, right? So it's a shaking no or counterclockwise. I like to do things in tandem. Like if you would to use this almost as like a map, or if you use crystals or gemstones, you could also use this to scry. I think Constantine in some shows where like he has his, you always have magic friends to help you, right? So over a map being like, where do we find the missing girl? Show us, right? Luigi board. Oh, Luigi. In root, it's intuitive, not hypnosis. You're safe. Yeah. So that's what. Also, too, I did a lot of work clearing. I used sage. I used like this my dragon's blood and sage to clear the energies and all that kind of stuff. Also, this one is lapis lazuli. I don't know if you're saying that crystal right. And also has copper in it as well. So copper, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna talk too much more about copper because I want to speak about that properly in a future kind of thing. Each metal, of course, has certain properties behind it, right? For example, Wolfie. Okay, all right. I was like, do you want to say hi? Oh, thank you. Oh, I'm not trying to hypnotize anybody. I'm not like trying to hypnotize. This is more like, it's about reading energy, you guys. So regardless of the tool, whether or not it's tarot or comic books or like a song comes on the radio or you like see certain messages, these are all just divination, right? It's just about addressing focus. And in this case, with pendulums, you want to ask a yes/no question. So let me see. What should I ask? I should have maybe thought about this before we started, Ostara. But back in the day, people used to use pendulums to do things like find landmines or like, just to sense frequencies in the earth, that kind of thing. Yes, I am in Toronto. So maybe I'll do this outside tomorrow. But isn't she pretty? Yeah, so gorgeous, gorgeous. So that, we'll do that tomorrow. Well, I'll have some yes/no questions prepared. I didn't today just because I know I've been like behind on time. But before we end, I'm going to do a reading for us. So we'll do a standard spread, which is going to be past, present, future reading. I use a deck called the Shadowscapes deck. I'll face that way. Not the Luigi board stuff. Oh, don't worry about that. No, I only deal with good stuff, my friend. I deal with benevolent energies only. I take great care to protect the space. Yeah. Okay. So I use a Shadowscapes deck. I've been using this deck for many years, like over 5 years now. I like it. So if you think about tarot is a little different than, I think I have my oracle cards handy. Also, I wanted to show you guys my cool drink today. I'm not sponsored, by the way. It's like strawberry. It's delicious, right? I'm gonna get more. Don't worry, trust me. And going back to what you were saying, Gwen Stacy, about you don't like it when people read you without permission, right? Same thing goes with like psychics. There was an X-Men comic book I read where there was a group of X-Men that claimed that they were the X-Men from the future, but Rachel Summers, right? She she couldn't read them. Like they had like psychic blocks up. So she was questioning, being like, why, if you guys are us from the future, like, why do you have to hide your mind from me? But the point was like, the point I'm making is that our minds like that, those who are, let's say, more clairvoyant, psychic, have high ESP, you are also going to be very open. So I think sometimes people can be more susceptible to things like nightmares. And as you're saying, Gwen Stacy, like those other energies, they can sense that you're open. It's like the shine, like that it draws attention, right? So that's why I deal with like certain crystals and have certain practices to kind of just protect my energy, right? Especially when I do things like writing bad guys. Like, because when you write a book, you're not writing just the good guys, you're writing the bad guys too, right? And so when you go into that space on like being a villain, like I try to like cleanse that, right? Yes, April O'Neil, Channel 6 News. And we're going to do a little read. We're going to do a little tarot card reading, you guys. Oh, knock over. Yeah, well, I mean, like, that would just freak me out, though, because me and my friends used to do that thing. Like, we would go into, like, the bathroom together and say, like, Bloody Mary 5 times in the dark and see what would happen, that kind of stuff. Like, there's also, like, apparently, you know, like, haunted hotel rooms and spooky stuff. But then I would know, yeah. But then I would still laugh. I would still be freaked out about, you know me. I'm very, like, dramatic like that. Okay, so we're going to do a tarot card reading, just reading the energies. I was going to do the pendulum, but tomorrow we'll do that. The birds have been really, really, so I had to tell you the other day, like I was feeding them, and this one pigeon, so I don't feed the pigeons. There's some lady from the other building across the way that feeds all the pigeons, and I don't really like the pigeons. They're very aggressive. I feed only the little cute birds, the finches and the songbirds. So I see there's this pigeon trying to come by and like eat the seeds that I left for like the little birdies. And like I'm with Wolfie off to the side, and the birdies, they literally come up to me, and one of them's like, dip, 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 there's a freaking pigeon trying to eat our stuff. So I came and like with Wolfie, and we shooed away the pigeon, and the rest of the birdies came and like the family ate. So that was my that was my morning news, my morning bird news. I do need to get some video clips of all Chonk and Chiquita. That's what I've named them. Chonk, Chiquita, and the gang. And there's like about like 6 of them in addition to them. So they're really cute. I feed them every morning. Bird seeds. Ever seen the iron rounds people put in hand? Yes. And they move when asking questions. Casey Jones. Yes. There's different ways you can divinate, right? Like, I don't know, like the Ouija board, right? For example, that can be kind of silly though, right? Because, you know, there's always someone who's like trying to mess with you. Those things, right? Be nice to the pigeons. I'm nice to the pigeon, but that pigeon, like they have their own food, Gwen Stacy, because if the big pigeon comes in and starts to eat all the seeds that were meant for the little birdies, like that's their seeds, you know? But that's the thing. It's intention, Gwen Stacy. So when people don't have respect for the fact that these magical things are actually real things, I think that's where, like, when you watch horror movies, that's typically where people get effed, right? Because they're like, ah, ha, ha, it's just a joke. And they're being all, like, disrespectful, basically, of the other realms. And then, you know, they come and give you a lesson, right? Because it's just the way it kind of works. Reed Richards, how's it going? Also, the Luigi stuff, I'm also known to being a big fraidy cat when it comes to video games. So my hubby used to play, was it Dark Space? What's the one that was? Dead Space. Oh, Dead Space is so scary. Oh, it was based on Event Horizon, which actually features Merlin. Remember Sam Neill? I think Event Horizon is like a play on Shangri-La, Lost Horizon. That other book, I read that in English class. Somehow. Hey Caduceus, yeah, he's my backup in the background. People are saying Hey Caduceus in the background. Yes. I'm working on our show, the esoteric movie review, where you like map all the different movies and how they like tell a story behind the story. You know, like 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, which we kind of did last time when I was Spider Girl, but you know, yeah, it is a good movie, Nosy Mage. It's intense though, you know. They go to hell and stuff, and yeah, that's exactly it, Gwen Stacy. So I don't know if you guys have seen the show The Magicians. I really love that show. I recommend you guys watch it. I don't know what station it was on, but it's been done for a while. But they have a character in the show who becomes a ghost, and he's kind of like stuck to the house in a sense. And so typically ghosts, the way that like spirits, it's like you have unfinished business that needs to be completed before moving on to the next realm, right? And that's what I think the biggest thing that can take a lot of fear out of death, out of all of that kind of stuff is that yeah, it's scary, like if you have like scary ghosts coming after you and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's a level of realizing that all in its own time, we're here to live a beautiful life. And it's usually when we fight against what is that we end up with issues, right? Like we watched the Constantine show the other day, and in that show they had a character where the mom loses her daughter. She like drowns in the swamp, and she blames Swamp Thing's Chica, Abby Arcane, for why the girl, like it's an accident, right, that happens. But there's also some nefarious stuff. But anyways, the mom does not want to let go of her daughter's memory, right? So she won't like let her rest. And so as a result, like her spirit, like she goes to this voodoo guy, and they like raise her spirit up, which of course, like as you know, like never goes right. And then now you have like a vengeful spirit who doesn't want to be dead. So it's like one of those things where like if we don't accept, you know, the hand that we've been dealt, or even like the Flash, right, where he tries to go back and save his mom, or like you wouldn't have a Batman if his parents didn't die. So like, it's like this idea of we don't accept the bad things that happen in our life and like the cards that have been dealt, and we try to like cheat it in some sort of way. There are cosmic ramifications for it, right? Like all of us do have to go through that experience of like loss and like not exactly the most fun stuff, but that's the part of like loving, right? Like that's the great risk of love, is that eventually one day you will have to say goodbye. And it's like that, knowing the grief that you'll have once it ends, whether it's friendship or any relationship, you choose to still have the courage and like love, right? And do it, because like why else? Why not? And I can handle the grief when it's over, right? I can take it, right? The sadness. And so it's like just knowing how to deal with your emotions instead of being like, I'm not feeling it, right? And not validating it in that kind of way. Okay, so let's go into the reading, and then I'm going to say goodbye tonight as April O'Neil, Channel 6 News. It's like we're reading the cosmic weather. We're reading the energies of the everlasting now. So I'm using a Shadow Stapes deck, which is a tarot deck. Each tarot deck, I find like if you want to get into tarot or divination, I find that each deck, just like different comic books, you'll find different artists will call to you, different ways in which they tell the story of the Fool to the world. Will be like the themes will be there. Like you have the different versions of Batman, different versions of April O'Neil, but the heart and archetype and inner like seed of what each energy is there for all the symbolisms, like Hierophant. In this deck is like an old tree kind of thing, but it's supposed to represent like learning systems, and it's like a pope in the Raider White deck, right? So we're going to do a standard 3-card read. So we're going to do past, present, future. So it's going to be for all of us, like my human family. Like how have we been in the past? What are the energies feeling like right now, present? And then what is going on for the future. We're finding there's a quote from Titan AE by Matt Damon where he says, I love it. You know, I don't know about this future thing. Everyone talks about the future, like, oh, fight the future, everything, right? But every day I wake up, it's still the present. So I don't know about this future thing. I think it's all just made up. Okay, so let's talk about the past, right? And even like my version of the past, sometimes when I talk to friends, differs greatly from others. Aw, you guys, thank you. So the past card. Wow. Okay, kind of makes sense, I feel like. 5 of Swords. So angel warrior. Swords themselves do tend to be, this is not, Wolfie, I hear you. Hey, no licking your paws. Don't start again, Nug Nugs. Don't start. Okay. Mirror there, so you can see it. So this is the past. 5 of Swords, it's typically an action. Swords is like the double-edged sword, represents air signs as well. Thinking, right? Now you're saying poke. It's like, yeah, no licking. Everyone's saying, did you? Hey, stop. Wolfie. I'll bring you on camera. I'll do it. I'll do it, baby boy. Okay. So if this is the past, right? This also speaks to tension in the past, right? So us as a whole, conflict, tension, having to have the double-edged sword, maybe like a concept of like coming to a type of truth. And because you come to a type of truth, you have to like sever off parts of yourself that no longer serve you. Kind of sucks, but you know. So that's our past read. Hey, Master Seth, welcome. And then present, we have, oh, I love this guy. I love the Knight of Cups. So Knight of Cups, he's riding a unicorn. Cups represent the element of water. This is present time. So I look at this as like a call to action to all of those. Remember I was talking about how water is the one element that can change state. This idea of intuition. So dream warriors, right? Knights are those who serve a higher order of things, right? You always have like, they swear an oath. I actually pulled the Queen of Swords the other day and I was talking to my hubby. I'm like, how do knights get knighted, right? They usually have a queen take a sword and they tap them on each shoulder. But to be worthy of being knighted, right? That comes from doing the deeds, like, and you can see here the Holy Grail kind of symbolism. And there's also this concept right now, I feel like the visualization of what our goals are, right? We're in a rebirth kind of period. So April O'Neil, springtime, we have an idea of being able to like trust our intuition, our inner hero, move forward towards whatever your Holy Grail looks like. Deep, and in many cases, the Holy Grail is like enlightenment, right? The Percival, and if we think of Aquarius, that's kind of like representative of that, right? Because the king forgets who he is, and so it's like finding that Holy Grail in order to restore the golden age in the kingdom, right? Yes, we will have to put socks on you, sir. Yeah, are you done? Okay. Good. I'm glad you're done. He needs a pedicure. That's what needs to happen. A little bit of a grooming. Okay. So that's present tense, Knight of Cups. I love this card. Right? Hope you guys have your steed ready for your hero's journey. That's present tense. Getting ready for that journey. And so future. What does the future hold? Back to the future. I won't forget. I will probably drop off this and check on Lily. Oh, great name. Okay. Future. Wow. Look at that. That's crazy. Wow, cards. The Wheel of Fortune. Wow. And you can see here like the dandelion seeds, this version of it. Wow. What a read. So we have the past of, a lot of grief, tension, cutting off of like old parts of selves, right? That can sometimes feel a little bit tough to go through, right? And then present tense, finding the quest, right? Reorienting who you are in your hero's journey, right? Trusting your intuition, trusting your heart sense, reigniting the hero within, coming back. We all love a comeback, right? And we all love a little underdog story. So even in ourselves. And then because the future destiny awaits, right? We can only deny who we truly are for so long, right? The universe does have this way of correcting itself and choosing champions in order to enact change, right? So, what a crazy reading. I just got like crazy chills with that. I was planning on doing pendulum, but maybe we'll do that tomorrow. So that is universal energy was my push. Oh yeah. I mean, some of you guys, like when I play D&D, right, we're at a certain level in the campaign where I play as a moon elf. And so I was asking my dungeon master, I'm like, could we make Mayari like an avatar for Saloon? Because I'm feeling like it's a lot of like evil god avatar energy. Like there's like this ball energy and then there's this other evil god. So I'm like, maybe we have like some like benevolent goddess energy that can like even the playing field a bit, right? And he's like, that's a great idea, Rachel. I'm like, yeah, we like that. But like that's the thing though, right? There's a lot of like nefarious evil-ish happening, you guys. And I know many good people have been severely traumatized or gone through things or had to deal with their own like inner demons, inner whatever that is, right? Sometimes the destiny you're called to do can feel like too great and almost like, who am me? Who am I? Like little me. What can I possibly do? You can do a lot. You just can, right? And evil and all the bad stuff continues to happen because it gets off on the fact of tricking you into thinking that you're powerless, right? That why bother if I can't do anything at all? And I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. You can do a whole lot. And sometimes you don't even really realize it till the time is right. So this is like the message almost from the future. If you're like, destiny is knocking, right? And if you sometimes feel like you're on a course, and it's tough all the time. Like if you're a fighter and you're training, it's not easy all the time, right? You gotta like get up and do things you don't want to do sometimes. Or what was the saying I used to say? Like, sometimes you have to give up what you want now for what you want most of all, right? And sacrificing yourself to yourself, that situation. And sacrifice is needed, surrender is needed in order to come to higher levels of gnosis. But we don't have the right to sacrifice other people. It has to all kind of come from ourselves, right? And no one has the right to ask of you to sacrifice anything that is not yours to give, right? So, those of you who are very empathetic and very kind people, I hope you also get the strength and have like the backup if when you need to like make the boundaries and protect your energy, that kind of stuff, because you should protect it. That's the thing. Like I think the more that we are like, oh, like it's not real, it's all like woo-woo hokey stuff, that's how they mess with us, right? Because then they'll take advantage of your juice and energy and shining stuff, right? So start believing it's real, really believe it, take a handle of it, protect yourself, start having a lot more fun with it, practice, right? Yeah, it's how they steal it, right? Like they make you, they trick you into thinking you don't have it, right? And like, oh, you're just nothing. Like that's nothing. That's this. That's that. So yes, Gwen Stacy, right? Just even like when you say like I just made it up, yeah, then it's real. If you took the cognitive time and effort and you drew it and it's now real. So your version of reality matters just as much as the status quos and mine and all your friends. So if people aren't good with that, then they can get the F out. And I think it's just a matter of we don't have to focus on all the bad stuff if we focus on all the things that we love too, right? If you spend more time on the things that you care about, you won't have time for that stuff. So that's my last message for you guys. I didn't want to spend too much lateness. I didn't have a comic book read for tonight because, holiday season, but I did want to celebrate April. Also too, like autism acceptance month, right? Not just awareness, right? But acceptance of us who all maybe think differently, or you think in a way that is not, normal. But I never liked the words normal and crazy anyways, because it is really all a matter of perspective. What matters more is, guess what? I think being kind, having courage, having inner strength, keeping your word, all these other character things I think are much more important than all these other things that perhaps takes you longer to learn something. Maybe like you're just not good at something and you're good at other things, but all of those things in the end of it, they don't really matter. What really matters, I think, is just more strength of heart and all of that good stuff, which all the other stuff can be taught. We can have the time in order for us to grow and do all that. So with that, awareness, yeah, exactly. And to all of us out there who are still in a process of like self-discovery and also having awareness and acceptance in ourselves, right? Because there's also too, to what was said, also awareness is a big thing in terms of recognizing like when you need help, that you need help, right? So also awareness of like being lucid in the dream and how our energy affects other people. And so that we can get better maybe at informing other people of our inner world, right? And we can have a bit more cohesion, collaboration, and play, fun. So the read for tonight, you guys, if you just missed it, past, a little bit of tension and grief, 5 of Swords, present, honoring your inner hero, your hero of intuition, reaching towards the holy grail within, right? That treasure, right? The quintessence. And then our future, destiny awaits. So that is a nod from the universe that you are on the right path. So trust your instincts, follow your heart, and she's got your back. Okay. You guys, thank you so much for joining me as April O'Neil Moody Beats. Hey, magic friends. And to all of you, I will be back with a comic book read tomorrow. Zatanna will be back. I'm going to come back with a title card read of her as well. And we're going to talk a little bit more about magic. I'm going to have some more magic tricks. I'm going to hopefully show off to you guys, and I'll have my lovely assistant Constantine to help me. So, all right, guys. Have a beautiful one. And until next time, Nosy Mage, thank you so much. And thanks you guys for being receptive to what I have to say and letting me into your universe, right? So, and I wish you well, all of you world builders and creator beings out there building the new world. So to all of you, remember, it takes true courage for you to be exactly you in the cosmic game of life. So be sure to play as exactly you, because the universe is counting on you. But no worries, I got your back. Till next time, guys, April O'Neil signing off for Channel 6 News. Bye. Oh, there's an Easter extravaganza. It's telling me to reconsider ending my life.